Live from Area 51, this is Derailed Trains of Thought. Okay, hello Tim.
Hello, Nick.
So, at first I wasn't sure where we were, and looked across the area and said it was Area 50, and I thought, oh, probably 51.
Probably. It is hard. People think Area 51 is this big scientific place, but actually, all I see are rows and rows of boxes.
Yeah.
Of wooden boxes. And they're all kind of around the same shape. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's inconvenient.
Yeah. But
No.
as long as we don't have anyone crashing in here and trying to kick us out or steal anything.
Yeah, or like those alien zombie things from that video game.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully we'll be okay.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
It has been a while.
Hi, Tim.
At least since we recorded, anyway.
You have a beard now.
Yeah, I know. We've been stuck here for a while. Whatever that means. Okay, anywho.
We were like looking through the boxes and finally found some recording equipment and thought, come help us, please.
Yes. And it's about time, too, because this is a special occasion, Nick.
Yeah, this is our second anniversary.
Hard to believe we've been doing this for 2 years now.
Yes.
Especially as infrequent as it's become.
What do you mean? We've been doing it
Regularly,
Yes.
once a month,
Mhm.
obviously.
obviously. But today we thought instead of doing any actual work, we just do a clip show.
Yes, because we have plenty of resources, plenty of clips we can play
Things
back
may,
for you.
Things you may have forgotten about, good old-fashioned, chestnuts.
Stuff that you may not even remember us talking about, but obviously we did.
Yes, so we dug back into the archives. We had lots of time to go listen to all our episodes again.
Mm-hmm. And
We picked the best of the things that have not been talked about.
yes, exactly. So, what's first on our list there, Nick?
Well, I think we're going to go revisit our episode where we talked about feminism.
Feminism,
in
that's
fiction,
right.
yes.
It was a very good episode.
It was a very good episode.
Yes. Okay.
And later in the episode, we had a couple guests on, but we
don't need that part.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, okay. Well, let's listen then.
Okay. So, Tim, you've heard of this test, right? About whether things are
Whether things are girly or not?
well, not quite girly. I mean, that test is if they're wearing bonnets during the movie,
Oh, right.
or if it's written by Jane Austen.
Exactly.
Um,
Or during Jane Austen, or a Jane Austen based on a Jane Austen novel.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. Obviously.
No,
Or if it has Meg Ryan in it.
Meg Ryan works, or if it's on Lifetime.
Yes. Although that takes a certain kind of female.
That's true.
But anyway.
It's kind of more aggressive feminism there.
Yeah.
Um,
But what? Tell me of this test that you were thinking.
well, I was introduced to it by our friend Leah Angel, I believe,
Okay.
who has
That's not her name, is it?
Leah Johnson now.
Okay.
Yes. It's called the Bechdel test. I don't know if that's how you say it. Bechdel.
Okay.
It's kind of a test for movies to see if it has a certain amount of females who are doing important things and not just being stand-ins for the plot.
Okay. Yeah.
And if I remember from my memory, I might be missing one of the steps, but it's like 2 or 3 questions, very simple. One is there more than one female in the movie? And 2, do they talk about things other than guys?
Do they have
Other wants, needs, desires? And I can see the point of this. I mean, because many times
they're the girlfriend, the
they're
damsel
basically
in
thrown in
distress?
because they're supposed to be in there. It makes a good movie.
Mm.
And they'll say, even good movies fall into this, like Up. There's
Okay.
no girls in Up.
No, that's true.
It's not feminist. It's a chauvinist movie.
About 2 old guys.
And I remember looking on one side, and the TV shows tend to pass it much better than movies do. You have a lot more. You have time, and they have all the things they deal with.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
But sometimes I wonder whether it's even. No, I'm not a female. Oddly,
Yes.
I mean,
Well, that's
not oddly,
it's
but
not oddly.
but I wonder. I get the argument against. They're always a damsel in distress, but part of me wonders. Is that always bad? Is it just a knee-jerk reaction? I mean, it's used a lot, and sometimes in a cliche way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure it's a faulty
Well,
or even anti-woman.
Well, it really depends in some ways, though, on your understanding of the nature of men and women, though.
That's true.
Because I mean, the author of Wild at Heart and his wife, they wrote a whole lot about this, and that there's a certain part of a woman that wants to be pursued, that wants to be rescued or something.
Mm-hmm.
And there'd be some feminists who'd be very strongly against that. But other women be like, yeah, I want to be sought after by a man.
I mean, I think what they don't like is the weakness in the damsel in distress.
Yeah.
And not necessarily that they don't want to be, protected or whatever, but it's the fact that they're helpless, the helpless damsel in distress.
Right.
Or the damsel who has no other ideas in her head besides,
And I've always felt like in modern society, and this, in the past, this may not have been the case, but I don't know that most men really have a problem necessarily with having a more strong-minded female character. Sometimes when they try to do a strong-minded character, they go overboard, and she's like so aggressive that she becomes unlikable almost.
Yeah.
Which, that's a different issue. But I mean, we talked about this some other time in regards to like female action heroes, because sometimes it becomes this huge deal, and like, characters like when Brave was coming out, it was going to be this huge deal that we have this princess character who's tough and wants to be independent and all this kind of stuff. But then at the same time, I think for most guys, if you have a good, solid action movie, if it's a good character, it doesn't really bother us if it's female. I mean, there's lots of guys who like, The Hunger Games, Legend of Korra, who have strong female characters.
And I wonder if it's not so much an issue with the reader. I don't think readers even think about it normally.
I don't know that they do. Yeah.
Well, some do, I'm sure, but I don't think it's a major concern for most people who's in it. They just want a good story.
Well,
I suppose it's a crutch sometimes for the writer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, genre certainly matters a lot. I mean, men are just always not going to be as interested in romances.
Yeah.
But I think it's faulty to say that men would not be interested in action adventure stories with a female protagonist. I think
Katniss kind of proves that wrong.
Yeah. I mean, Hunger Games is kind of a big deal now.
Yeah.
I mean...
And the movie comes out next week.
Oh, yeah, the movie. I can't wait to see the movie, honestly.
And then Natasha's going to go midnight showing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. It should be good, from all accounts. Yeah. And I hear this Brave is supposed to be really good, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously we're both men, so we'll have to take this over to one of our female guests that we'll talk to, and she'll go into
She'll tell us what we got wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, that was an excerpt from our feminism.
Yeah, and if you want to hear the interview, really good interview, just go check it out a couple episodes back.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find it if you dig through our archives. Yeah. All right, what's next on your list?
Let's see, what's next? We had that really academic one.
Oh, yes.
I kind of had this deep need to talk about punctuation.
Yes.
And how it's changed since Dickens' time.
Oh, because it's so undervalued nowadays.
Well, and like I've been teaching my students, just recently, and they just don't understand, the semicolon. What's the use of it?
Mm-hmm.
So we tackle that, and it's been quite a number of times ago. But I thought it was worth revisiting because I'm now teaching these students, and it just came up again.
Sure, good to hear. All right.
Yeah. So the Oxford comma.
Yes, tell me. I know you've spent hours of research into how the comma was developed, so tell me more about that.
Well, what I would like to, we'll get to that.
Okay.
But really what I just want to know is, I don't know why newspapers and modern writing wanted to take out that last comma in the list. It's like eggs, comma, bread and jam. When traditionally it's always been eggs, comma, bread, comma, jam.
Wait, say that again?
Originally, a lot of new papers and stuff are trying to make it so it's eggs, comma, bread and jam.
Oh,
no
yes.
last comma.
No comma before the and.
Before the and, which I don't see what the purpose is. It's like there's been this steady assault against commas since Dickens' times. Back in Dickens' times, every time you had a random pause, you just put a comma. Yeah. It made a lot of sense.
Well,
Poe, Dickens, all those guys. And you just comma.
Well, I think it has something to do with the bigotry against run-on sentences. There's this very bad impression in modern times that a sentence needs to come to an ending much earlier than it does. Whereas people like Paul, like you said,
Faulkner.
Dickens. I mean, their sentences would last an entire paragraph.
Yeah, at least. If not half a chapter.
And I think because of this bigotry, the comma has been very persecuted because of it.
Most of the woes of modern writing, I blame Hemingway.
Hemingway, yes.
So, I can't tell you how much I abhor Hemingway.
He is one of the worst.
I won't even. I'm too much emotion.
I understand. We'll move on.
Let's move on. I'll come back to the comma. Yeah, you asked a good question about the history, but I thought maybe move on to the semicolon, which is also horribly underused now. I remember some guy, first time he saw a semicolon in a presidential campaign speech, again, he thought, we're getting back to literature.
Yeah.
And because
we can't have that nowadays.
Because during the Bush administration, he said you never saw semicolons, and now you see them again, and so it's kind of a renaissance in that very vital punctuation that, when you don't want a full period, but a comma just is a comma splice.
Yes. So yes, semicolons are becoming an endangered species, and another big perpetrator against this, texting. Man, I can't believe all the ways these kids these days use ridiculous abbreviations and poor...
I get whole essays that have no vowels in them, and it's ridiculous. I mean, well, I'm reading the essay on my phone because I told them to email me.
Right.
But still, it's not right.
Yeah, no, you got.
It take that much longer to add the
proper capitalizations and full words. Yeah, I'm totally with you, Nick.
BRB? Burb? What does that mean?
Who knows?
I don't.
Kids these days.
Oh, man. So
we kind of got off topic there a couple times.
But really a lot of really solid stuff about commas, periods, the dash, the long dash, which is a very vital part of a vibrant sentence and
a vibrant society.
Because punctuation is the glue that holds together the ideas that make culture.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself, Nick.
It's a little long. That one ran a little over. It was like an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes, I think.
Yeah, and that's after I cut out like a good 40 minutes.
Yeah, we have that sidetrack with the extra stuff.
Mm-hmm. So if you are longing for the days of proper punctuation, if the abbreviation of texting just wounds your soul, you should check out this episode.
And if it doesn't wound your soul,
then you shouldn't be listening to our podcast at all.
I don't know what you're doing here.
Okay, what's next in your what's next on your list? Nick?
Okay, sorry, I had to recover.
Yeah.
We had that very interesting conversation about Looney Tunes.
Yes, this was a very in-depth discussion.
Yeah. So we won't spoil it if you haven't heard it. Mm-hmm. But well, here it is.
I think it's very clear that Wile E. Coyote is an elaborate metaphor for the story of Job.
For the Job,
because think about how much he suffers and how much he goes through without really much provocation. I mean, all he wants to do is fill his stomach.
Well, that's interesting because at first you think Wile E. Coyote. The name makes you think more the archetypal trickster god. The Loki and the that sort of god.
Exactly.
But I think you're right that the creators have very cleverly played us.
Yes. They
made Wile E. Coyote the suffering hero, and they made the Roadrunner, who's apparently the good guy, the tempter, the satanic vision,
the angel of light. Even.
Exactly, and it's just, the theological depth of that confusion. It's a very good postmodern view of the world where you don't know which way is right and which way is wrong. That you have this. And Wile E. Coyote, he's confused. He doesn't know which way to turn. He keeps turning to this Acme device or that Acme device, and he's just trying so many things that don't feel what he really needs.
It's a materialism addiction, is what the Roadrunner has caused him to go through, and even a bit. There's even a little bit of a sadism sort of dwelt in him, that he continue, even though he knows it's all futile. His struggle, he continues to go through with this cycle of torture anyway.
It's like Paul says, what I should do, I don't do, and what I shouldn't do, I keep doing.
Yes,
I keep on doing that. He's just stuck, and he can't move forward.
It is pretty tragic.
Yeah, I can't watch any of those without just feeling that. Just a pain, a burden for mankind,
for the lost humanity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now, in contrast, it's very we shouldn't say that all the Looney Tunes protagonists are not who they seem to be, because Bugs Bunny truly represents the savior of the world.
Yes.
He has literally saved the earth from destruction.
And what's so great about Bugs Bunny is he has this joy welling up from inside of him that he always kind of knows what's going on. He has, this sort of supernatural sense about what he should do in any situation. He's never really put off. He's content in this case, in that case. I mean, a very a role model for many situations.
It is very interesting to see how Bugs is so patient, especially in the face of like one of his antagonists, like say Daffy Duck.
Or
Daffy is always, he's full of anger and rage, but Bugs is very calm and collected.
Well, he suffers so much persecution from people like Elmer Fudd, and he never gets down. He never, he keeps his chin up, even despite this constant persecution from these ignorant people who do not understand what he's trying to do.
And it really is remarkable too how it is a metaphor for the Christian life. We are constantly meant to be pushing guns in people's faces and blowing their beaks off.
I couldn't say, and then occasionally we'll start underground churches. Just get down and go to Seville and go, pop back up.
And occasionally, we may take that wrong turn at Albuquerque, but we know that eventually, even after persecution, we will find the right path.
All things work together for good. Yeah,
exactly. Man, that was so deep.
And there's just so much. We talked about, if you haven't. We talked about, the perversions of love with Pepe Le Pew, and we got the feeling the stranger in a strange land with Speedy Gonzalez,
and we went into very detail about the Book of James and the taming of the tongue when it comes to foghorn leghorn, and how just your words can really come back to hit you in the rear end, and
just the freeing creativity that God's given us through Duck Dodgers.
Yes.
Those horizons just expand before us if we let them.
And just goes to show that even someone as corrupt as Daffy Duck can find the heroism inside himself if he has a partner to help him find it. So, very true. Excellent episode.
Yes, really one of our deepest.
Yeah, definitely. So what's next on your list?
Let's see here. A very practical one after our theological one. Way back when, I don't know, beginning of this year. We did how to beat writer's block. And I remember hearing from a lot of people that really helped them move forward.
Get through, because writer's block is something that a lot of us struggle with. So, okay, let's take a listen.
So we'll go to the meat of what we were going for.
Well, let's see.
I had something I was going to say.
Oh, wait. No, that wouldn't work.
Sometimes if I know I said that 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought I was better prepared for this one.
Yeah, I thought so too. You want to go watch Riff Tracks?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
So that was our writer's block episode.
Yeah, it was. We don't always get real practical, and that one was really helpful.
Yeah.
And I think this is. Oh, we got 2 more before our halfway break.
Okay.
Okay. First, we want to talk about animals. We don't talk about animals all the time. And
Not very often, no.
And we thought we could do episodes and episodes on animals. On the dog, on the cat, on the turtle. But we thought we'd just focus on those animals they use in disaster movies. Which are vital to disaster. You can't write one without them. So
we want to know how serious the disaster was without one.
Yeah.
So all right, let's take a listen.
All right, Tim. Here's one of the worst memories. Have you seen Dante's Peak?
No.
Okay. So I'm watching it with my family. Dante's Peak's horrible movie.
Just lots of bad stuff happening.
Well, it's a volcano that explodes and it starts. There's a town in the base and it starts destroying everything, and people trying to escape, like any other disaster movie. And there's this place where there's like this acidic water. I don't even remember how it happens. And the grandma is trying to save like the kid and walking through and just dying. The grandma's just being eaten alive.
Ugh.
But the dog gets across. And then you think, well, at least the dog made it. I mean, my grandmother, who, served me snacks and put me to bed and babysat me, she's dead, horribly, horribly mangled. Her bones have been eaten of flesh, but the dog made it. And I thought, at least that.
Yeah.
It was a
You always need that one little bit of hope in there.
that last bit of hope, because some people say dogs aren't people, but they are.
They are. And, that's why it was so important for that dog to survive in Independence Day.
Exactly. Because,
I mean, the movie would have been horrible if the dog had died.
I mean, yes, you can say that the dog really, you never saw it before that point, that it didn't really play any part in the movie, but then you're misunderstanding the metaphysical impact. The dog jumping out of the way as hundreds of thousands of other people die, burned alive, screaming, wondering what happened. That dog stands for all kinds of things.
And we know this is why that Old Yeller is considered the most infamous, vilest, most hated movie in movie history. Like, Walt Disney won't even release it anymore because everyone just hates that the dog died.
Yeah, because if everything else goes wrong and the dog lives, you know that the sun will come out tomorrow. Oh, man.
That was an emotional episode.
I'll be right back and go up and hug my dog.
Okay. Oh, you're back. How's Lenny?
Great. Yeah, I just had to pet her a little bit and give her a little treat, and
That's good.
yeah.
All right.
She's alive.
I think we need to get to a much more manlier topic.
Yes, a
now.
manlier topic. So we start off this recap with feminism. We're going to end with something much more Michael Bay.
Yes, I agree.
So this is from the episode. You all remember this.
This was a favorite. We got scores of letters just praising us for the glories of this episode.
Explosions. Why are they so awesome? That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was all right.
Yeah, that was cleansing.
That was cleansed. That was.
If we can get every episode as good as that
Yeah,
one.
then we'll have made it. We'll be the top of our game.
Yep, I couldn't agree more.
So, Tim, you want to do our first soundtrack?
Okay, let's go on the soundtrack. It'd be fun since this is the second anniversary and all, and it's sort of a clip show. I had a dual meaning for picking this. This is actually the song that we originally used for the soundtrack intro, our first little soundtrack jingle. So it'll sound a bit familiar. This is called Late Night Sneakin'. It's from the game Jet Set Radio, which I guess the original game had some clips from different movie stuff in it too. And
or the music was very
kind of techno-y, kind of like this.
Yeah.
So it was very inspired by this. The remixer is Happy Bivuak, or Happy Bivuak, or something like that. I got that unpronounceable name this time. But yeah, it's fun. It's a classic. Hope you enjoy.
What's going on? What's going on? I don't understand what's going on here. I said it before and I'll say it again, again. I said it before and I'll say it again, again. I said it before and I'll say it again. What's going on? What's going on? understand what's going on. What's going on? I don't understand what's going on.
And we're back.
Yep, that's a really fun song. It's a remix that I think I really just burst out laughing the first time I heard it.
It's very, very catchy.
Yeah.
So next we're going to what do we call this?
Well, we're still doing clip show stuff.
Oh,
really.
yeah.
It's just we're talking about clip shows that were part of our take
On Tales. Throughout the summer, every episode we would do some take on tale and mention some movie.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd put some of those clips together and kind of give you a review
of this summer's movies.
Yes.
So I feel like largely this summer has been kind of about two movies, Avengers and The Dark Knight Rises.
Which are both equally entertaining, but very, very different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can really... some people ask, which is better? I don't know if that's a valid question.
I mean, they both serve different purposes, in a sense. I almost wonder if Avengers might have been slightly more successful in audience satisfaction, if only since, like, Avengers, you got exactly what you had wanted to see in it, pretty much. You wanted to see the heroes kind of fight and then take down the bad guy.
They built up, each movie, which is actually a genius move of marketing.
I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like it in terms of movie making.
We're in love with all the characters, except possibly the Hulk.
Yeah.
Depending on your take on his various movies.
Yeah.
Which I never saw the second one.
I haven't actually seen either one of them.
I haven't seen either.
Which I think is half the problem. We're comic book people, and we couldn't get excited about the Hulk movie. Kind of like how I could never get excited about Spider-Man this year.
Yeah, I never went and saw that one.
I know our most faithful listener, Greg, really liked it.
I've heard good stuff about it.
I've heard it but it was like, in a movie that had the Avengers and the culmination of Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, it really just kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Which actually, I'll throw this out here now. Even after we did a recap for our last anniversary thing, remember we still never actually talked about one of the movies we saw last summer, which was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's another movie. Like, it came out that summer. It just kind of came and it went.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't
But it didn't really
great.
It didn't really stick with you.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Avengers, I felt like people really got what they were looking for. Dark Knight Rises, people mostly enjoyed, but there was some... I think the people who didn't like it was because there was some aspect of it that didn't go according to their expectations.
Because it was very... Avengers, for the most part, was a pretty straightforward movie. The hard part for Joss Whedon was just to make all the characters awesome.
Yeah, give them equal screen time.
He did an amazing job on making them all awesome.
It couldn't have been easy.
No. These are all big personalities. And that was fun. The fun of that movie is watching the characters play off each other. Dark Knight Rises is obviously a much more dark, serious movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a very complex, I won't say ambiguous, but complicated in the themes and the angles and the...
Christopher Nolan expects you to follow a lot of stuff, and in some cases really connect the dots into like how a person got here and stuff like that. Because I think there were some people who enjoyed it, but pointed out a number of what they thought were plot holes online. It's like, if you really think about it, I don't really see them being plot holes. I think I can fill those in pretty easily, just going off of assumptions I was making as the movie went on.
Yeah, he likes to build puzzles. His movies are puzzles.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to hand you anything.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's why I loved watching it. It's a 2.5 hour movie, and I always say about 2 hours, unless it's a good movie, I start being like, okay, let's get done with this. But I'm hooked for all of it. It moves. It's remarkably lean
Yeah.
for being that. I mean, there's so much that happens.
I don't think I could point to any part and say that could have been trimmed or something. It all felt like it was important for
He
the
had all
movie.
nice callbacks, and we have all this
Mhm.
French Revolution stuff. Just all these questions. He doesn't necessarily answer the thematic questions. He just kind of lets them play out, which I think annoys some people. Some people like when they have discussions about them.
I read a really interesting review in World Magazine, which I think is always a refreshing place to read stuff.
Is that the one? No, never mind. I don't think I saw that.
What I thought was interesting that it pointed out, because this is a kind of a conservative Christian magazine, that Christopher Nolan had said that the questions that he wanted to raise with this movie were ones that he wanted to go there, or people were going there, or something like that. And the magazine was sort of speculating, well, maybe a lot of times in Hollywood it says people just don't want to go there. They're talking about something too edgy. In this case, it was sort of exploring the ramifications of what a lot of people in Hollywood might believe, like the whole redistributing the wealth,
and what is the purpose of wealth?
And of capitalism.
Yeah.
Like there's that, and it pointed out, that scene where like Bruce Wayne is like, well, why aren't we supporting this orphanage anymore? And they're like, well, Wayne Corp doesn't have profits anymore, and if the corporation doesn't have profits, we can't donate to charity.
Well, it's interesting that in some ways Gotham fell apart partly because of the lies and stuff from the previous movie,
right?
But partly because Bruce Wayne stopped being Bruce Wayne. Like he stopped being the millionaire that invested in things and made things. And
it is interesting, and to a certain extent, Gotham City was okay for a while without Batman, but it wasn't okay without Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, which is very interesting. Yeah, and I think that exploring of what the purpose of Bruce Wayne was, what the purpose of Batman was, what the purpose of all this discontent at lower levels, is it noble? Is it not?
Yeah, how much of a point do they have? I mean, you don't ever discredit the people who are feeling the pains of economic recession. I mean, a lot of this year I was not, underpaid or underworked, really, just doing part-time jobs. I have a full-time one now, which I'm grateful for, but still, this is after student loans and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I understand how people feel pinched.
Oh yeah, completely. And and the interesting, it didn't seem to downplay like Catwoman's character, who had been down and out, and those people, but it kind of asked the question, is their solution a good solution?
Yeah, it basically tears society apart.
Yeah, and then Bane just kind of played with whatever people wanted. I mean, he didn't care what happened as long as everything went
right.
Pot.
And I think there were some people who were kind of disappointed that Bane didn't believe everything that he was, because they really like having a villain that has a good point, and then, which I don't know if there may have been some of that he actually believed. Yeah,
and I think he's like a lot of leaders with power, they say what motivates the people. That happens quite a bit. Whatever gets the people on their side and riles them up, and
right.
So anyway, I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, and I'll throw out here too, I really did like. I had a big problem with The Dark Knight ending the way it did, with basically the Batman and the police lying to the whole public, and I was really happy to see the ramifications of that play out in this movie.
Semi-related, I thought it was very interesting that at the end you have this giant scene of policemen charging the enemy, which you never see. Police are not necessarily ever put in that sort of position in a movie where they're like the
righteous.
Yeah. Not that they're always put down, but they're.
Yeah, it's as heroic as they are in this movie.
Yeah.
Now, I will grant the people that it was kind of ridiculous to have the entire police force down in the sewer.
I agree, yeah.
It's like that is one plot hole I can kind of, have a point there.
I mean, there are things that are kind of done for the sake of the ideas. I think Christopher Nolan cares more about his ideas sometimes than strict plausibility.
Which becomes tricky when his franchise is kind of trying to make Batman as realistic as possible.
Yeah, so. Yeah, he pushes the envelope a little bit. But
yeah. But I thought it was very fun. So, and I don't know if I could necessarily point out to say which one, Avengers or Dark Knight Rises, is the best one. They were both good for different purposes.
Yeah, I agree there.
What about
I get more talking points out of Batman.
This is very true. This is very true. All right, so real quick, let's touch on some other ones from the summer. Brave is probably the only one. I actually really didn't see a whole lot of movies this summer. It was kind of
Natasha
sad.
likes to see movies, so we go see movies.
Yeah, so you've got a lot. I know you saw a lot that I didn't see, but Brave was a good Disney movie. I'm not sure it was a great Pixar movie.
Yeah, it was weird because I watched it, I liked it, but I couldn't love it. I can't really pinpoint exactly why. It just seemed a little too safe, maybe.
It seemed a little too familiar. I mean, they did a good job in avoiding some of the plot holes, or not plot holes, pitfalls that could have come with having a story
Yeah.
it would made it be more cliche. Like, I mean, it was really good that she realized how much trouble she'd caused, that she
Yeah.
apologized
Yeah,
for it and
I was
stuff
glad
like
that it was not just
just
the parents are evil.
Yeah, the parents are dumb and
Yeah.
the kid knows what he wants.
Yeah, I was really happy about that.
But for a Pixar movie, it really skirted the boundaries of being really close to something that we have seen before,
Yeah.
and that was unfortunate.
yeah, beautiful, beautiful movie.
Oh yeah,
And I don't know, and I guess just personally, animals as main characters doesn't.
I'm sure it was still handled better than Brother Bear.
Well, I've never seen Brother Bear.
Well, I
And
haven't
I don't
either,
know,
but-
and it wasn't bad. And actually, it was kind of fun at the end that there was the mother bear.
Yeah.
What it was literal and not just a figurative
Mm-hmm.
turn of phrase.
Yeah.
Protecting her cub. So it was a lot of neat ideas. It wasn't necessarily that anything was wrong. It's just some things seemed to be lacking.
Yeah.
Just some oomph or some
And
ease. Because the best Pixars have such an ease about them of being just completely their own thing.
yeah, I agree. And I still haven't seen Cars 2, have you?
I finally did see it.
Did you finally see it? What did you think of it?
That one was, the plot was, it rehashed some stuff. It's like they're friends and they get broken up and there's some evil nefarious plot, and it was not, it felt more like except for the way it was done, which again, Pixar's animation is insanely awesome.
Sure.
It felt more like a 2 DVD sort of story.
Okay.
I don't know if it's quite that level, but it was not real memorable. It's like it had a lot of clever attempts, but none of them it didn't have the emotional resonance.
Yeah.
Like WALL-E, Ratatouille,
Right.
Incredibles have this, you have connections, and this, it just felt like a kind of a forced,
Kind of fun.
you break, it's kind of fun, but they kind of this forced breakup between the friends and get together, and, is Mater dumb or not, what do people think about him, and
Yeah.
kind of stuff that's been done before.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't make something completely new, but it didn't impress me particularly.
Okay. I was just curious.
I saw a couple different movies. I saw Prometheus.
I was really tempted to see Prometheus but it was tricky for me because I enjoy Alien and Aliens, but at the same time I wasn't sure I wanted to see him on a big screen. That and I figured it would have some weird, dumb evolution. Aliens are the origin of man kind of stuff is what it seemed like.
What? Oh wait, yeah, that's true. Come on, that's like the sci-fi big reveal that every sci-fi book does.
It's like I'm not sure why they think it's original anymore.
I mean, Babylon 5 did. I mean,
Yeah.
well, they did the angel. I guess they weren't. They evolved themselves in Babylon 5, but the
Yeah.
angels and the god were.
At least Babylon 5 had this could build this very massive universe around it. I mean,
It made sense with the Vorlons and stuff. too.
yeah. I mean, it was big enough that I didn't mind too much, but yeah.
Well, I had seen Aliens forever ago. I mean, ages ago. I think Brian Churchill showed them to me originally.
Yeah.
Because
Okay, yeah.
all movies that I should watch, I see from Brian Churchill. And enjoy. That's where I saw Godfather and other such things.
Sure.
The first 30 minutes, I was in love with. Because we saw it for Father's Day. Dad wouldn't go to the movie. All the guys went. Later on, Dad and Zach were asking, why did we go to that? Because they don't like tension. They don't like, suspense and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I could have told them
But
that's exactly the wrong kind of movie.
I know.
for that.
They knew it, but it was the best thing on at the time. They wanted to go.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
But the first half hour is like an old school sci-fi movie. They get in an old ship. There's cryostasis. There's the big shots. It's like 2001 sort of style.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is good. I haven't seen like an actual hard science fiction movie for ages.
Uh-huh.
I mean, everything's kind of, even if it's science fiction, it's fantasy
Mhm.
or space opera, which I love. But then it got a lot of that gore monster stuff. It was just too much for me. Too much just disgusting,
Mm-hmm.
things crawling in people's mouths, in their nose, people
Yeah.
doing dumb things. You're like, why did you do that? Forced C-section that she does on herself. It's just crazy. It was too much for me.
Okay.
I think some of the ideas were neat.
Mhm.
Some of the characters felt like there was more that they were supposed to do, but it got cut out or something. I don't know. I felt like some of the characters didn't quite reach their potential. Like there was something they were in theory going to do and they never did.
Uh-huh.
So at the end, I was kind of, I mean,
See, there's a certain populace of sci-fi people that really like the kind of gory stuff. I mean, like I've seen people who will make a cake with the chest burst or the alien come out of the stomach sort of thing. That's honestly one of my least favorite parts of the first Alien. I mean, it's memorable, but it's scary, but it's not the part I enjoy.
But you just do, there's only one or two big things. It's just like there's a lot of stuff I want to turn away from watching it.
Uh-huh.
And I don't like that sort of stuff, so, I'm probably turn away more than other people.
Mm-hmm.
If you like aliens and you don't mind gore, I think it's an interesting movie and well filmed and everything, but I don't know, I just felt like it was not quite what I would like to have seen.
Okay.
Total Recall, which was
I heard kind of
popcorn,
generic.
Yeah, I won't try to explain it, take too long, but at some point I'm like the entire plot stopped making sense to me.
You watched Doctor Who, where there's lots of weird
okay, so they want to capture this guy so that he kind of does this double cross and reveals to them information. But they didn't want him to remember who he was either. And so there's no way for him to do the double cross unless he remembers who he is. So there seemed to be two missions about him that contradicted both from the same evil guy. It didn't make any sense to me. So I don't know. It could have been a lot better. I haven't seen the original, but
well, listeners, if you can explain to Nick, please leave us a comment and
I will take it. After I'm talking to Natasha, I'm like, I don't. So exactly. Snow White and Huntsman I went to see, which was interesting.
See, this is a very one-sided discussion. I haven't seen almost any of these. Because you have we were talking before, you have a movie partner.
Yeah, Natasha loves movies. Actually, I probably see a lot less movies if I wasn't married to Natasha. She loves movies, and these were ones she wanted to see. The Snow White one was interesting, very stylistically, very, very cool, and actually much more balanced than I thought it would be. As in, not only did they have this evil, dark forest and all this, but they had a light version, like with fairies and goodness, cool. And I was really impressed with this sort of, because normally you have magic, and it's all dark. And you don't have much of this light stuff, or if you do it just the main character's heart or something like that. Again, another movie that kind of just falls apart at the end, I feel like. I don't understand how the last 50 minutes works logically.
The Snow White's in it,
yeah.
Okay.
But visually, it was really cool.
Okay.
Emotionally satisfying at the end. You're like, it just kind of muddled. Like, the logic of it's kind of muddled.
Mm-hmm.
And Expendables 2, I saw.
Probably not much you can say about that.
Not much. I would say the first one's better.
Really? Okay. Well, I just saw the first one this summer.
The first one was really entertaining just for what it is.
Uh-huh.
The second one feels too in-jokey.
Oh, really?
There were jokes in the first one, but this one feels like, at some point, you don't know how much of it's, in the style of the 80s, how much of it's a parody.
Uh-huh. They might have gone too parody in this one.
Yeah, and it starts confusing you about how serious you're supposed to take things that, are not real easy to take seriously anyways in the style.
But Expendables worked in one way because it played it very straight. Even though you knew it was completely ridiculous.
And that's why, I love it. And actually, just from a technical point of view, the conclusion, the finale, the last act of the first one, I enjoyed a lot more than I enjoyed the final act of this one.
Oh, really?
I just like the explosions, the actions, a lot more in the first one than the second.
Okay.
And I think that's not necessarily a flaw, that's just a preference.
Mm-hmm.
But I did think it was too parody-ish.
Okay.
They were funny, but then it kind of took away from the movie, so it was hard to...
Yeah.
It was confused signals.
That makes sense.
All right. That's what we got.
I spent most of my summer watching Phineas and Ferb.
Which I know you enjoy.
I did very much.
Hi, we're back. So that was our discussion on movies that we had like an episode or two ago.
Yeah, not that long ago, really.
Yeah, because summer just got over.
Yeah. So one more real quick clip segment I think we're going to throw in for you. This is the most heated discussion we ever had on the show.
Normally Tim and I are like, yeah, I agree. Oh, I agree with you. No, you agree. But this one...
Yeah,
it was.
Natasha kind of had to break us apart eventually.
Yeah, eventually. So
yeah,
we'll probably stop it before we get to the part where we start yelling. There's a couple fists thrown.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Tim. Those are fighting words. Because no,
I'm serious.
No,
I am dead serious about this.
Look, Tim, you're wrong.
How can I be wrong? Everyone knows that Curious George is better than Frog and Toad.
Tim. by everyone, you mean the massive unwashed people who just believe whatever is told to them, okay? No, have you read Frog and Toad? Have you sat down and read it?
I think I had.
I
read it like way
you're
back.
being influenced by childhood memories of this Curious George character, okay?
Okay.
Here's
lay it on.
Frog and Toad. True story. I used it to teach short stories in class because it has...
With college students? Seriously?
No, with my 8th graders. But it was a little hard to pull off from the college students. Thought about it.
Okay.
No, okay, first off, there's such great camaraderie and humor in it. They're Frog and Toad, but they're really you and me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But there's this smirk that comes through all the writing, and it's such simple, clear writing. It's like, okay, Toad and Frog go swimming.
Boring.
See, this is what you don't understand, Tim. You're hooked on the sensationalism of disobedience, of rebellion.
No.
Curious George, all he does is, okay, I just read DeFeo. So the man with the yellow hat, it's like, hey George, it's 3 years since I stole you from the jungle. Happy birthday. Here's your bicycle. And then he says, have fun with your bicycle. I'm gonna go. Don't get in trouble. Okay, he's had Curious George for 3 years. And he's saying, goodbye with a bicycle. Don't get in trouble. The man with the yellow hat is either the most dense person on the face of the planet, or he's a parent unfit for a monkey, which is saying a lot.
You are completely misunderstanding the entire purpose of this story. The man in the yellow hat.
Tell me.
The man in the yellow hat is a savior. He represents Jesus. Now, you see, he rescued Curious George from this very, very dangerous jungle. I mean, have you ever been in the jungle, Nick? You've been in Brazil, right?
I've been in the jungle, yes, Tim.
You know,
yes.
It is full of wild animals that would love to eat monkeys.
Wait,
monkeys. Let me finish here.
You
Nick.
sound like an English professor who's like taking green eggs and ham, making it about some great nonsense.
You're overreaching. Just listen to what I'm saying to you, Nick.
I'm listening. Okay.
Okay.
I'll try to understand.
The Curious George is consumed with curiosity, and aren't we all? You know, we test the boundaries of our world because we are trying to understand what it is all about. We're confused. We're lost. This place is not our home. Even though, sometimes as we are seeking to understand things, we may mess up, but our Savior, the man in the yellow hat, is willing to come and forgive us and help us clean up whatever we've done wrong. It is the most fundamental message that any child could learn.
Okay. First off, the man in the yellow hat is negligent and basically gets up, sends Curious George off to do. Okay, I read another story. He's shopping. Man in the yellow hat shopping. George gets up, runs away, tours all of New York City, comes back, and the young man in the yellow hat's like, where have you been? It's been like 6 hours. Not only that, but in the one I just read, Curious George is at this traveling zoo, and the zoo people are like, hey, Curious George, you can work for us, which sounds kind of creepy. It's kind of a, creeper vibe. But don't feed this ostrich, because he'll eat what it had. And you know what Curious George does? He feeds the... That is blatant rebellion, sinful. This is like, hey, Eve, don't eat this apple. Oh, I'll go eat that apple. That sounds great. He almost kills the ostrich. It says the ostrich was getting blue in the face. He's a maniac.
Okay, you're...
Meanwhile, Frog and Toad. Listen, Frog and Toad. Frog and Toad.
I can't.
Frog and Toad.
Look, you diss this down the yellow hat like this.
Friendship that cannot be denied. It's this deep bond. Look, Toad loses his button, okay?
You know what you're saying about the man in the yellow hat being negligent? People could call God negligent because he just left us here on this planet by ourselves. But no, he comes, he helps us with our needs. Sure, we're always going to mess up. We're inherently sinful. Frog and Toad, yeah, they're friends, but what do they really do together? They waste all their time fishing and stuff. Do they help the poor, Nick? Do Frog and Toad ever help the poor of the animal kingdom? No, they just
Does Curious George help the poor? Does Curious George help the poor? Answer me.
Curious George is a kid. You expect kids?
Frog and Toad are frogs and toads. Okay, listen.
They have their own houses. They're adults.
Listen to the servanthood nature of Frog and Toad. Toad loses his button, okay? he's really upset about this. He gets really mad. He's hopping mad. And Toad goes with them, and they've already walked. They're exhausted. And he goes back to every spot and keeps looking and looking and looking and looking and looking. And then he finally finds it for him. So that's just self-giving. And then Toad, in thankfulness, in happiness, goes, takes all the other buttons they found and makes a new coat for Toad. It's like a picture of Ruth, this sort of give and take, this perfection on Earth.
Why didn't Frog just buy him another button? If he was so generous, he didn't have to waste his time searching all over for a single button.
Okay,
who cares about a button? It doesn't mean anything.
Curious George, you've bought into this materialism. Curious George, all he's doing is getting stuff. Frog and Toad they live in nature. They're in communion with the simple things of life. Okay, Tim.
I think you're just prejudiced against monkeys because they're from Africa.
Prejudice against monkeys?
Seriously.
My wife had a monkey. My wife had a monkey.
And you were jealous because you didn't have a monkey growing up.
It has nothing to do with my childhood.
Yes, it does. Totally does. Man, I don't know what came over us that episode.
Yeah, Tim, if I haven't apologized, I got a little heated.
Yeah, we both went a little far.
Curious George is a nice story.
It's a
good story.
And Frog and Toad I enjoyed it.
So,
yeah, that's all right.
Now, that little bear.
Yeah,
little bear.
Yeah, who cares about him?
Okay.
Anywho,
so okay. Well, that was our recap episode.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you enjoyed. So you can relive some of those great moments that you may have missed.
Yeah, they were some of our favorites, and we know some of the fans love them. And in case you hadn't heard them, go back, listen through all our episodes, and tell us what you think.
Yes, we would love to hear, and yes, we'd love to hear.
All right, so man, I'm kind of exhausted after reliving all those wonderful memories.
I know, man, we've had a good year, Tim.
We have had a good year.
It's like the end of a Cloverfield. It was a good day.
It was a good day.
Okay. So, contact info. Well, what would you do for a Klondike bar? Okay, contact info, Tim.
Right. Our web address, as you all know, is derailedtrainsofthought.blogspot.com.
Our email is derailedtrains@gmail.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes.
And keep listening. I think next time...
And promote us on Twitter and Facebook and...
all over the place.
Yeah.
And
Send postcards to
we'll have some exciting news for you coming up soon.
So I guess I'll close out here.
Close us out.
Okay. For my soundtrack, I actually just picked something kind of random because I didn't have any good... I had so many emotions and memories that I didn't really have anything good that popped up. So I thought I'd just go with good Super Mario Brothers. It's a remix called The Tutu Blues. It's remixing the underwater music. It's done kind of in the style of Randy Newman Toy Story thing. And I guess we talk about Pixar some in one of our sections, so
there we go.
It's kind of peaceful and different for me. It's a remix by Brental Floss, which I guess is relatively famous outside of
in the internet gaming community, sort of.
So it's a little different for me. I was down to do some Maze Dude.
It's very calming, especially after that last clip was kind of heated.
Well, it was kind of heated, so.
All right. Well, let's hope this should be good.
And maybe we can find a way out of this warehouse without getting shot.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
I'm hearing some Russian voices outside. I think that's a bad sign.
I agree. Well, this has been Nick.
And this is Tim.
Until next time.
Adios.
Bye.
It's blue. Sink or swim. Baby, don't go loving him. Wait for me. I'll come and set you free. But until then, I'll keep on swimming in the sea. Now baby, I'll swim all day. Fish in my way. always just out of reach. Wait for me, maybe I'm coming to set you free. But until then, I'll keep on swimming in the sea. Now every man needs a princess, woman to call his own. But after looking high and low in his kingdom, still go to bed alone. And I promise, baby, I promise you, you're worth every bit of the hassle. But every time I think I found you, baby girl, you're in someone else's castle. Why you do this to me, baby? I'm diving down, try not to drown. I know it seems my quest is just a pipe dream, but wait and see, there's a prince for you, and it's a me. But until then, I'll keep on swimming in the sea.